All right.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Adi. I have with me Mr. Prateek Dhawan, who is from a company called DG Propulsions. Some very interesting stuff which is happening यार देश के अंदर ऐसी ऐसी चीजें हो रही हैं आजकल देख देख के मजा आ जाता है. Here are few bunch of people sitting together and छोटे से 40 kg के जेट इंजन्स बनाने शुरू कर मतलब बनाने की कोशिश में है. एंड एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट इनके वीडियोस आप देखें ट्विटर के अंदर तो इट्स रियली रियली अमेजिंग. छोटा सा लिटरली अ स्मॉल लिटिल थिंग जो आपके दो हाथ में आप उठा सकते हो. एंड इट्स अ जेट इंजन एंड इट जस्ट टेल्स यू कि भारत में इनोवेशन की कोई कमी नहीं है. All it needs is that little push and that little direction जहाँ पर भारत can actually shine on the world stage. So Prateek ji, thank you so much. Namaskar. Thank you for joining in. मेरा पर्पस आपसे बात करने का बड़ा सिंपल था. वन टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू आर डूइंग एंड टू ऑल्सो टू इंस्पायर अदर पीपल. जो भी देख रहा हो किसी के दिमाग में कुछ आइडिया हो करना चाहिए. एंड थ्री कि भाई what can be done in the future. तो पहले तो why don't you tell us about yourself, your company and how did you come here?
Thanks, Adi. Thanks for having me. Inspiring someone, it becomes a really big deal. I don't know we have reached that spot yet, but yeah. So yeah, I'm Prateek Dhawan. This all started, I think, 10 years ago. It all started on a very lighter note. It was a hobby project. I always used like to work with turbochargers and combustion and everything. So I just bought this used turbocharger from the junkyard and started building something out of it. When I started, I didn't even know where to buy nuts and bolts from my own city. So it started slowly, and at that point, we used to have Yahoo groups, and I'll make something and I'll put the video online. And when my first engine got running, I got this random call from Delhi, and I was like, okay, who's calling? And they will just not disclose who they are, and they'll be like, okay, we are a bunch of guys working on the similar stuff, and why don't you come to Delhi someday and meet us? Here is our number, and okay, come whenever you want to. And I was like, okay, if you're not gonna tell me, but by chance I had to go to Delhi at that point after like a month or so. So when I was in Delhi, I called them. I was like, sir, आपने बोला था कि अ, हमें दिल्ली आके मिलना, मैं दिल्ली में हूँ, इस मेट्रो स्टेशन के पास हूँ, तो बताओ कहाँ हूँ मैं. तो देन दे वर लाइक, ओके, तो यू टेक दिस मेट्रो टू दिस XYZ स्टेशन और हम वहां से पिक कर लेंगे तुम्हें. आई वाज काइंड ऑफ आई डोंट नो एस्टोनिश कि कौन है ये, बता भी नहीं रहे, दिस एंड दैट. एंड देन दिस कार स्टॉप्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी एंड उसके ऊपर एयर फोर्स का एम्बलम लगा हुआ था, इंडियन एयर फोर्स. I was like, okay, things are getting big now. So the gentleman inside, he was an Air Force officer. वो मेरे को पिक करके and then he dropped me in front of this big सरकारी house. कहते कि जाओ मिल लो, आप एयर मार्शल मिलेंगे आपसे. मैंने कहा भाई आपने ऐसे बड़े सरकारी घर के बाहर उतार दिया मेरे को. आई डोंट नो ऐसे घर के ऊपर क्या नॉक करते हैं या कैसे अपॉइंटमेंट के साथ जाते हैं. तो चलो ठीक है. दे वर expecting me and I went inside and Mr. Air Marshal, he received me really nicely. He took me to his sort of a workshop he had, and there I saw these big jet engines that they had imported from Europe. So तो मेरे को लगा कि okay, if they have to import something from Europe, so definitely there is a market gap somewhere. तो उससे और इंटरेस्ट जागा थोड़ा करने का कि यस भाई तुम सही ट्रैक पे जा रहे हो. I kept on working on it, but I had to leave for US for my masters in 2015. तो मेरे को लगा शायद इतना ही था. ठीक है, इट्स ऑल फन एंड गेम्स, हो गया सब, पैक करो, हॉबी स्टफ खत्म है, तो जाके पढ़ाई करते हैं और जॉब करते हैं आके. तो द मोमेंट आई वाज अबाउट टू लीव फॉर यूएस, एक हफ्ता पहले मेरे को किसी बैंगलोर से इन्वेस्टर का कॉल आता है एंड ही वाज लाइक, ओके प्रतीक, हैव यू ऑलरेडी फॉर्म्ड अ कंपनी? अगर नहीं तो लेट्स फॉर्म अ कंपनी टुगेदर, वी वांट टू मेक जेट इंजन फॉर इंडिया. मैंने कहा सर मेरी फ्लाइट है एक हफ्ते में, तो आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ गुड आइडिया राइट नाउ. कहते चलो ठीक है, तुम पहुंचो वहां पे एंड विल सी हाउ थिंग्स फोल्ड, एंड तुम आगे कुछ तुम्हारे प्लान्स चेंज होते हैं या नहीं. सो यूएस जाने से पहले देयर वाज दिस सीड दैट वाज प्लांटेड इनसाइड मी कि नहीं भाई ये छोड़ने वाली चीज नहीं है, आई विल हैव टू कीप वर्किंग ऑन इट। एंड लकीली मेरा एडमिशन भी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग विद अ फोकस ऑन कंबशन मैंने उसी में ही लिया था। So I learned a lot about combustion, how different fuels they burn, and how combustion chambers are designed. And I sort of aligned myself with my hobby at that point. So I did my masters, और ये background में हमेशा से चलता रहा. Then I realized कि ठीक है, अभी I am in US now, लेकिन शायद जो मैं छोड़ के आया हूँ that is way more important than what I'm doing here. तो मैंने कभी भी background में इसके ऊपर काम करना नहीं छोड़ा. So I kept on working. Then through the same Air Force contact, I met my co-founder Chirag Gupta in 2018. So he had, I think, had fresh retirement out of Indian Navy at that point. So he was also looking for something that made in India kind of a thing. तो हम मिले and we sort of aligned ourselves. उनके भी interest मिल रहे थे जो मैं करना चाह रहा था. And that's when we started this company, DG Propulsion. So DG is the surname. D is for Dhawan, G is for Gupta. So historically, all the successful mechanical companies are based on the surnames. Rolls Royce is a surname as well. So that was the basic idea behind. That's how we started DG Propulsion, and then we kept on building and building. So my first actual looking jet engine, which was not based on a turbocharger, I ran that in 2018. So the thing is, making a jet engine is a big deal, but it's one thing. Then tuning that engine so that it runs flawlessly for number of hours is an entirely different ballgame. So the first proper jet engine ran in 2018 और उसके बाद 4-5 साल से हम उसे ट्यून ही कर रहे हैं. So what you guys are seeing on Twitter is this 10-year worth of learning that we have done, and now it's a miniaturized version. It's less than 4 kilograms in weight, 40 kgs thrust, has more than 10 is to 1 thrust to weight ratio. But then it has its own challenges, material challenges हैं. Lekin I think the biggest idea behind is to create a narrative that we can build this in India. Thing is,
Interesting.
one thing I fail to believe, India can make rocket engines, but India cannot make jet engines. I cannot believe that. I mean, the engineer inside me shouts at me, and it's like, that's not possible. Rocket engines, there are turbo pumps that are running at way higher RPMs than we run our jet engines at. So technically, that's even more challenging. So I think what we lack is we have all the expertise that we need in India, and Indians have been shining abroad as well. I mean, सबको पता है Indians कितना अच्छा कर रहे हैं world over. I think we lack proper direction. It's it's a very stupid analogy that I'm gonna give. Uh, a good director will make a good movie with the same actors, and a bad director will make a bad movie with the same good actors. So I think that's what I think is happening. There's just lack of direction. So I think through DG Propulsion, we'll encourage other players as well to come to this field so that obviously we get the economies of scale and the cost of these exotic metals and everything that comes down. And we truly align ourselves with Maruti than Mercedes or any other brand. We are here in the market to create a Maruti of jet engines, and that's only possible अगर और ज़्यादा players आएंगे market में. So that's just the plan is we are trying to keep the cost down. We are bootstrapped. We have never had any funding. Uh, a very good fact actually when I put that post on Twitter that I think it's about time to get funding for the fuel. Many people they came ahead and they started donating money uh, for the fuel for our extended test runs. A kid practically he sent me 50 rupees. I mean it was overwhelming. He sent me 50 rupees. I mean जितना उसकी pocket money होएगी I don't know. मेरे को तो लगा शायद वो मजाक कर रहा है लेकिन you see that that zeal that people have they have come forward. यूएस में अगर क्राउड फंडिंग करते तो मेरे को हैरानी नहीं होती कि हाँ यूएस में दे हैव दिस culture of donating money and sending money. But when I saw the same thing happening in India, I was like mind blown. So that encourages us. I mean, that encourages the people like us ki yaar, keep on doing. Not even one piece of criticism. from anyone. Everyone is like, "Bhai karte raho." And then here we are. We are testing engines every day. Better fail now than fail in the mission. I think that's what the motto is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where do you, what is your pitch? I mean, आपको करना क्या है ये engines के साथ? Where are you planning to push it across? मैंने काफी जगह पे पढ़ा है आपने, you want to push it for UAVs initially, and आप एक जगह पे I've also read कि you've been able to take it up कि भाई the UAV would be able to fly to 300 kilometers.
Mhm.
That's decent. How far, कितना time आपको लगेगा to scale that up, and what is the interest level that you're seeing from forces and other places? From abhi to drone ka manufacturing has become like a, I mean, it's every city has a drone maker
It's
and all this stuff.
tremendous. It's
It's
tremendous in India. Drone industry in India has like blown. I mean, it has exploded. So this is a good question. I mean, so the thing is, we are targeting the high altitude UAVs with this. The reason high altitude specifically is because it's only jet engines that can operate at that high of altitude. Like I'm talking about 8,000 meters and above. So I don't think electric propulsion systems can work at. I mean, they can work, but the battery densities, the power densities, and all, it's still challenging. And then you won't get any endurance out of it. So that's something we are targeting. We have gotten tremendous interest from various companies. I mean, companies based off of Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, you name it. I mean, बहुत लोगों ने contact किया है. So we have been in talks. We'll be giving them our engines for initial testing and all. And yeah, that's what we are planning on doing. Obviously, you cannot sell engines as is. You need a airframe around it, and that's what we are working on.
So is there a plan that you guys have to get some drone designers to kind of work with you, or build a airframe around it, or you want to give it to somebody else and be the power plant manufacturers as per se?
I'll probably want to do what you just said. I was actually gonna make an announcement on Twitter as well that we are assembling a team. It's gonna be open to anyone. I mean, and I'm learning as I'm speaking as well. I've never hired so many people together, so maybe I'll just write it down कि भाई मेरे को लग रहा है मेरे को डिजाइन इंजीनियर्स चाहिए मेरे को CFD guys चाहिए मेरे को aeronautical guys चाहिए. I'll just put down a list. Experts will come in. They'll be like नहीं भाई तेरे को ये नहीं चाहिए तेरे को ये चाहिए. It will be an
Yeah,
open
yeah.
discussion,
The ecosystem is
right?
really good. मैं यही तभी, that's one
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
reasons
yeah,
why I wanted to talk to you, is that the ecosystem is really good, and दुनिया में बहुत लोग
yeah.
हैं जो, you know, are pro the Bharat development. Especially a lot of Indians are around the place जो बोलते हैं यार अब करने का टाइम आ गया है, let's do something.
Yes, yes, yes.
And जब तक वो unity नहीं आएगी, जब तक एक that
Right.
feeling of भारतीयता नहीं आएगी, तब तक
Yep.
ये सब करना बहुत मुश्किल है. So that's very
Yeah.
important, and I absolutely agree with you. So how far, how big do you think you can scale this thing to? What is the largest thrust that you can produce out of it?
So the way we have been designing our engine since the very beginning is because one thing is for sure, if you have to reduce the cost, you have to standardize a lot of things. जितना तुम standardize करोगे उतना you'll be able to reduce the cost later on. So all our designs, I mean, you talk about it, the compressor stage, the nozzle guide vanes, the combustion chambers, they are all scalable. With the current metallurgy and what's available in the market, I think we should be able to scale it. I mean, scaling down is one thing. We should be able to scale it up all the way till at least 300, 350 kilogram thrust
That's not bad. Hmm.
with the current design. And then you go into the turbofan category, which becomes a
Hmm.
different design, but will reach there eventually.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because what the metallurgy is the question, right? And
Yeah.
so, how are you kind of working on that aspect of it? Is there some research that you're doing to find out what is the best, alloy? What is the best cutter? There's a lot of technology which is there, which is available in India. As a matter of fact, diamond cutters and all that stuff
Right.
is available in India. How do you think that you
Yeah.
guys are looking at doing that?
So I get asked this question quite a bit regarding metallurgy. I mean, so many people have asked me कि यार तुमने सिंगल क्रिस्टल थोड़ी बना लिए हैं जो GTRE नहीं बना पाई HL नहीं बना पाए वो तुम कैसे कर पा रहे सिंगल क्रिस्टल इज नॉट नीडेड फॉर दिस क्लास ऑफ टर्बोजेट्स पीरियड ये जो सिंगल स्टेज सिंगल स्पूल टर्बोजेट है इसमें सिंगल क्रिस्टल की नहीं है जरूरत दोज आर आई थिंक somewhere people they start confusing when you say jet engine they confuse The small jet
fighter
engine with
jet,
the commercial airliner jet engines, right?
fighter
Fighter jet
jet
engines
engine.
as well,
हाँ,
right? Those are multi-stage engines. I mean, you're talking about the turbine entry temperatures of 1800 degrees Celsius and all. You're not getting there with these. इनमें the materials are easily available online. I mean, we are using nickel alloys. जो भी industry में काम कर रहे हैं लोग, उन्हें भी पता है कौन से materials हैं. They are all available online. Matter of fact, a lot of these materials are already being used in the automotive industry. So there is already supply chain set up with the same precision class. So we are using the materials that are already available. So it's not like we are promising moon and giving you nothing. ऐसा नहीं है. I am here to address the challenges. Yes, single crystal is difficult, but
yeah,
asking a single crystal for this engine is like asking a Rolls Royce to get the groceries. Uh, it's just not needed for this application.
that is there. So basically, you guys are now focused on towards the drone part of it, and let's see how
Yeah,
the story goes after that. So what's what
right.
what's in store right now? What are you doing? I mean, I see these videos of testing and stuff like that. What is the testing phase all about, and what are you doing coming towards the end of our discussion? What do you think is your next plan with regards to the current unit that you have? How capable is it, and how do you want to kind of move forward with it?
I am really happy with the performance the 40 kg engine has shown. I mean, we were able to consistently run it to over 1.5 hours, I think, a couple days ago. Consistently varied throttle, full throttle as well. So I'm really happy with the performance. So I think I want to scale it up as app. I mean, as soon as I can. We are looking for funding. We are contacting investors. We are talking with VCs. तो जहां से भी पैसा आएगा, we are gonna put all that money towards scaling this up. India needs jet engines. India needs jet engines now, or I should say yesterday. So we have to start scaling the production.
So I mean, how much orders do you think you should be able to get? Uh, you know, in the
It
next
should
probably
be. It
year
should
and a
be
half?
in.
How do you think the, because see, the reason I'm asking you this is because there will be a lot of people who will be saying, यार
Mhm.
मेरे पास भी आइडिया है, कितना टाइम लगता है ये सब करने में, और कितने टाइम में मैं अपने आप को एक स्टेबल बना सकता हूँ. See,
I
when
easily.
people are wanting to, a startup wants to take a risk, he
Mhm.
also is looking at his own future. So what would you kind of advise to some people who have a little dream and say, यार चलो risk लेना है कि नहीं लेना types?
I would say let's build it, यार. मतलब see, I'm very new to this as well. I mean, I technically don't call myself a startup because we haven't had funding and all. It's just bootstrapped, and we have been putting our own savings and money and whatever we have got. I am expecting the engine orders in at least double-digit hundreds for sure in coming years, in next 4 to 5 years, for sure. That's for sure. So it's and the thing is, we through DG Propulsion we are opening a new market as well.
Hmm.
So what was happening is anyone who had any idea in mind that had to use a jet engine, they had to import it, right?
Yeah.
First of all, the technology is expensive. Then on top of that, countries they don't want to sell you this easily. They want end user certificates and whatnot, permissions from the government, and then you have the import export duties as well. So it ended up, अगर किसी को भी startup शुरू करना है तो how can a person spend 30-40 lakhs on an engine, right? तो वो करेगा ही नहीं इसमें कुछ. That's why you'll see most drones are electrically powered, right? Because you can easily get batteries, you can easily get these small BLDC motors and all. And no offense to anyone, that's cool stuff. बहुत startups बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं उसमें. अब तो टेक्नोलॉजी बहुत आगे बढ़ चुकी है इलेक्ट्रिक ड्रोन्स में भी. लेकिन starting was bit easy,
Hmm.
right? I mean, starting was bit easy. इसलिए we didn't see a lot of startups in jet engine manufacturing. Matter of fact, I was just reading an article yesterday, written by I think one of our competitor firms, and I totally agree with them. It's a lot challenging to get the parts made, and the castings and all of that, and it's expensive. It gets really expensive really fast. So we have to keep the cost down, and we have to scale it up as soon as we can for this industry.
Fantastic, fantastic. Uh, any appeals that you would like to make to the audience? I'm sure there'll be a few thousand people that will be watching the show, and going forward, ye chalta rahega. You can also share it with your network. What would you like to tell the audience and your friends, family, and your potential people that you like to work going forward?
On a lighter note, I mean, I'll say कि भाई जेट इंजन किसी को खरीदना है तो हमसे खरीदे. लेकिन no, that's just kidding. That's one part. Uh, to the investors and to the people who control the ecosystem around, uh, I get see the thing is this technology is a big gap in the Indian ecosystem. India needs jet engines, and we have to provide them. The thing is, when you go out to take funding and all, I'm not pointing at anyone, but many people they want to hear cool stuff. They want to hear cool engineering jargon. कि हमने ceramic का कर लिया, हमने ये बना लिया. Thing is, if you'll chase Rolls Royce, you won't be able to make what's already here. पहले इस डिमांड को फुलफिल करते हैं एंड देन विल स्केल इट अप टू दोज लेवल्स. अगर
Yeah,
मैं आज टर्बोफैन इंजन बनाना शुरू कर दूं तो आई विल बी स्टक विद बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स बीइंग पुट इन द स्टार्टअप. ठीक है, और कुछ बन के नहीं निकलेगा. एंड वी हैव सीन दिस विद डीपीएसयूज एंड एवरीवन, राइट? और उनके पास कितनी रिसोर्सेज हैं, तो स्टार्टअप तो कुछ कर ही नहीं पाएगा फिर इन दैट केस. With the amount of resources our DPSUs have, they are struggling to make the full blown fighter jet engine. तो अगर एज अ स्टार्टअप मैं किसी वीसी के पास जाता हूँ एंड दे विल बी लाइक कि तुम्हें टर्बोफैन बनाने में कितना टाइम लगेगा, दैट्स अनरियलिस्टिक एट दिस पॉइंट. वी हैव दे हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट गैप वी आर फिलिंग. सो दैट्स काइंड ऑफ अ मैसेज आई वांट टू शेयर दैट लेट्स फिल दिस गैप. ये जरूरी है. This is the requirement of the day, and slowly and steadily, let's work towards what the future is.
that's most important. I think that is a message that one needs to take. कि भाई धीरे धीरे करके build करते हैं. Let's see where the story goes. Thank you so much for taking out the time. You've kind of
Thanks, Adi.
given your journey. And see, for me, the deal was one, to learn, two, to help you. If there is somebody in my network who can help you out, collaborate with you, fantastic. I am all for it. अच्छा है, you know, if people in the country and scientists and engineers in the country can build something for us and go forward. And apart from that, थोड़ा बहुत military में भी छोटा मोटा network है. If somebody notices it, calls
I'll
up,
still want to say,
you know.
sorry for interrupting. I'll
No,
still
no,
want to
please.
say कि whoever is listening to this, experts in the field, whoever, let's assemble, let's create something, let's make the jet engines for India. करते हैं. I'm all in for it. I'm all in for it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm honestly grateful that you've taken out the time here, and let's stay in touch. And whenever you have a big development, I'd love to feature it on the platform. I'd also request the viewers, please check out his Twitter page, Prateek Dhawan, and that is what it is. You can check out these beautiful little engines producing red hot, exhaust fumes. And in one video which actually caught my eye, this little engine was literally lifting up the table
Oh
when you
yeah.
guys were doing the testing. So and this is first thing in the morning I saw this. I'm like, yeah, this is interesting. People say कि यार इंडिया में innovation नहीं है. Here are guys who are making
We
these little.
engineers tend to do dumb things sometimes. I mean, that's not recommended. I mean, it's
No,
not safe.
actually,
So
it's
use
not
proper
about that.
safety as
It's
well.
about kind of creating that thought process, right? It's
Right.
all about creating that thing कि यार we can do it. ऐसी बात नहीं है कि हम लोग गधे हैं. हमको भी आता है. अभी
Right.
तक
Right.
क्या
Right.
था ना कि यार हमसे तो बनता नहीं है. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Today the story is, yeah, we need to do it. Khatam. So when people
We
are
have to
doing
do
it,
it.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's important that the other people who are not technical should, if nothing else, could encourage कि सही भाई, damn good, करो, हम आपके साथ हैं. More than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. There's a lot of
And
encouragement. I really want to thank the entire team at X.com, Twitter, जो लोग आए साथ में, आप लोग आए. I mean, we need all the encouragement we need at this point. It's hard, but it's doable. We'll get there.
absolutely, absolutely. And I hope you do fatafat get to that point, so that we can
Yeah.
hear some very good news from you guys, and hope for the
So
country's benefit. Thank you so much, sir,
thanks.
for taking out the
Thanks,
time.
Adi.
It's a
Thanks a
pleasure.
lot. Yeah.
Jai Hind.
Thank you. Same here.